Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some massive news for the Ohio State Buckeye fans as Chip Kelly expected to be the next offensive coordinator for the program heading into 2024. Dill, we hopped on earlier this morning, talked about Bill O'Brien leaving for the BC job and Chip Kelly being at least my number one candidate to fill the offensive coordinator void. Dill, I'm going to straight up and say it. Two things. One, Ryan Day in this Ohio State program just not playing any games the last couple of weeks, right? What they did in the transfer portal, what they've been doing on the high school trail, and now going out and grabbing a Big Ten head coach to be your next offensive coordinator. I mean, this is a program that wants to turn this around and win immediately in 2024. My second point, I think Chip Kelly straight up better hire than Bill O'Brien. I would take Chip Kelly as my offensive coordinator over Bill O'Brien 10 times out of 10. And we'll get into it. I know Chip Kelly's very polarizing conversation and name for Ohio State fans. We'll give you guys kind of our take on Chip Kelly coming to Ohio State. Massive news. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. And it really has been a blast covering this program for the last couple of weeks, what they've done in the portal, what they've done on the high school trail, what they're doing with the coaching staff. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. If y'all do enjoy the content, one, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, let us know in the comments section how you guys are feeling about this one. Chip Kelly sounds like he is heading to Columbus. Dill, I'm going to give you the T-box here. Chip Kelly to Ohio State. How we feeling?
And I'm kind of with you. I mean, Bill O'Brien, the only value it felt like he was going to bring to Ohio State was kind of being that old school hard-nosed coach. And there might be an element of Ohio State thinking they need that or whatever. But at the end of the day, in terms of just a pure offensive coordinator, he just fits way better with Ryan Day. I mean, Bill O'Brien's scheme was very pro style, kind of play action. You kind of think back to the Hackenberg days and in the times where he was running the show, aside from Bama, which wasn't his most successful stop, I wouldn't say. It was typically that more pro style scheme. And Ryan Day is just different. They like to throw it around. Chip Kelly, that's kind of what he built, obviously was Ryan Day's mentor for most of his career. I just think the fit makes way more sense.
I think it's one, a perfect fit. And you talk about Chip Kelly, and there are going to be people that come in and say, well, Chip Kelly's been a bad head coach for the last couple of years. And although that might be true, that doesn't take away from how good of a football coach Chip Kelly is. And yeah, he's not probably the best head coach because he's not really a people person. He's not a very good manager of people, but when you tell him to break down the chalkboard and draw some plays up, X's and O's, I mean, I don't think people give enough credit for Chip Kelly and what he's done revolutionizing the landscape of football at the college and NFL level. You're truly, in my mind, talking about one of the brighter offensive-minded coaches in all of the country. And Dill, he comes into Ohio State, and that's his job. He doesn't need to manage a ton of people. He doesn't need to go out on the recruiting trail and recruit, and we'll get into why I think that in just a little bit. Chip Kelly's coming in to get this offense right with all the weapons that they have, and I fully believe Chip Kelly with a guy like Will Howard, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Emeka Buka, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, he's going to be able to get it done in my mind.
And you're kind of right. I mean, at the end of the day, Chip Kelly's probably a guy who should have been an offensive coordinator his whole career.
Should have been a lifer, yeah.
But he was too good of an offensive coordinator to stay as an offensive coordinator, so he'd get head coaching jobs. And again, not necessarily super successful at any point after Oregon, but that doesn't change kind of what you said. It doesn't change the fact that in terms of just pure offensive brain power, that's about as good as it gets. I mean, what he took that Oregon program from and built something totally new that now everybody's tried to catch up. You kind of heard Nick Saban. He had to make the change after Chip Kelly really got it firing in Oregon, and everybody goes to the spread, speed, no huddle. You heard Nick Saban. They didn't even play a huddle all year. That was all Chip Kelly. I mean, that's what he built. And at the end of the day, he is probably the best offensive coach maybe of our generation, like this generation, let's say. I think
he is certainly up there. And I again, you won't find a bigger Chip Kelly. You got Ohio State fans can probably tell like how I think about this hire. Like I think
all his downfalls are not a problem at Ohio State. You're right. He doesn't need to recruit. And Ryan Day is going to do the managing of the program.
So let's dig into that. Like with the narrative why you wouldn't like this hire, at least in my mind. If you were an Ohio State fan and said, I got question marks about Chip Kelly, it would be, well, the last couple stops he's been at haven't been great. More importantly, can he recruit? You look at the recruiting side of things, Ohio State and Ryan Day have assembled a juggernaut of a recruiting staff. And that's not me saying Chip Kelly is not going to be able to recruit, because at the end of the day, when he was able to get recruits in, it was on the offensive side of the football because people want to go play for Chip Kelly offense because those offenses put up numbers. And so I think he's still an appealing coach to come play for, but you surrounded yourself with elite recruiting staffers. So yeah, Chip Kelly might not be the most charismatic player or coach on the recruiting trail, but he calls a good offense. And more importantly, he's surrounded by a lot of young assistant coaches that can get it done on the recruiting trail. So the recruiting potential lag, I don't really see happening because this Ohio State team is as good as any on the recruiting trail and developing those relationships.
You kept the offensive staffers you probably needed to. Hartline, Keenan Bailey, Justin Fry. I mean, everybody who that's their job. They're supposed to be really good recruiters. Brian Hartline's probably as good as we've really seen in a long time. I know Ohio State raves about what Keenan Bailey can do. And Justin Fry's starting to bring up that offensive line recruiting a little bit too, which is the one place maybe is lagging. So again, you just kind of look, I think in this staff, he's a perfect fit. And I'm not sure he's a perfect fit everywhere, frankly, at this point in his career, just given where he's at. But at Ohio State, and with the talent they have and with the infrastructure they have, I don't think there's a better fit for him.
I agree. And you ask about, and we kind of talked about this like this morning when Bill O'Brien left for Boston College, that news became official. This offensive coordinator spot got open. And I kind of said, Ryan Day has been making just big play after big play in terms of the transfer portal on the recruiting trail. You kind of knew he would go big game hunting for this offensive coordinator position. And for a guy like Chip Kelly, it kind of made sense. I mean, this was a guy that was kind of just middling at UCLA. And I think a large part of it was just he was not great at being a head coach and running a big operation and people pleasing for a lot of people, going to donors. That's not what he wants to do. And so a lot of people in the comment section came in and said, well, why would Chip Kelly leave a Big Ten head coaching job to come to Ohio State? He doesn't have, I think, the desire to be a head coach right now. I think he wants to go call plays and be an offensive mastermind. He's going to get that ability at Ohio State. Bill O'Brien left Ohio State. I think some Ohio State fans, came around to the Bill O'Brien hire. Dill, I personally think, and I know some people might agree, I think they upgraded with Chip Kelly because you look at what this offense can be. One other thing I'd add, I know I'm kind of rambling here. Chip Kelly's been very good with athletic quarterbacks, to put it that way. And Ryan Day hasn't. And so you look at Will Howard coming in. I think that's a really, really nice fit for Chip Kelly to take on this offense, scheme up an offense for Will Howard. You look at this offense, the pieces that are in place with an offensive mastermind coming in like Chip Kelly. Ryan Day obviously going to have his fingerprints all over the offense as well. This looks like an offense that is going to be one of, if not the best in the country in 2024.
Yeah, no, and it's always going to be right there. It was probably going to be right there without Chip Kelly, but Chip Kelly is certainly an upgrade for them. And again, I do think that's a good point. They're probably going to need to play a little bit different at Ohio State than we've seen in the last while. So they probably will see new wrinkles. And Chip's probably the perfect guy to kind of help bring that along because he really does have experience with that type of quarterback in that type of offense.
The one other question or concern I think Ohio State fans, and at this point I'm selling Ohio State fans on Chip Kelly right now. One other concern that you might have is, how long is Chip Kelly going to be at Ohio State? To me, yeah, okay, if it's only 3 years and he goes and tries to make a crack at a head coaching job again, although again, I think he's showing you right now, I don't know if he wants to be a head coach anymore. He wouldn't be making that move in my mind. So he might stay for a long time and just have a ton of success with this Ohio State offense. Or after 3 years, he does a really good job and he gets elevated. That's the recipe at the college level, right? You look at Nick Saban and what he's done, just replacing coordinators all the time. If you are a program and your coordinators are not getting poached, it means you're not hiring the right coordinators, right? So I think and you're not winning. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I think Chip Kelly comes in 3 years. Okay, maybe he's out. Certainly maybe not either. I think this is a really good hire. I think it's a perfect fit for him. I mean, as a Michigan fan, I can't say I'm that excited, but for Ohio State fans, I think y'all should be extremely excited. This one, in my mind, a home run hire. Would love to hear how you guys feel in the comment section. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.